Hello, welcome back to the Bald Book Geek. I'm the host. Like, subscribe, and share. I'm pretty sure I'm, at this point, banned by the YouTube algorithm. So let's talk about Star Trek Discovery Season 4. Star Trek Discovery Season 4 follows the Discovery crew of the USS Discovery more than 900 years after the events of Star Trek the original series to rebuild the Federation following a catastrophic event. Didn't Bryan Singer write that script? That's frighteningly familiar. Season 4 suffers so many problems because Star Trek Discovery has progressively deteriorated. There are elements of this show that I like. I loved Captain Gabriel in Season 1. I love the Mirror Universe stuff. The Empress, Michelle Yeoh, come on. I mean, Michelle Yeoh. There's no more you can say about that. But for every good idea, Star Trek Discovery is literally content. And the creators have admitted they're making content that's mainly a propaganda piece, and it shows. Season 1 had the best budget. Season 2 had the best cast. I mean, Captain Pike and all of those. But everything else has fallen apart. Michael Burnham is the most unlikable Mary Sue of any Star Trek, any show. Worse than Wesley Crusher. She is worse than Wesley. She is Spock's secret half-sister, human sister. And I do look at that and think, who wrote that? Did you get that off fanfiction.net? Season 3, because of all the canon and continuity issues that the show created through Season 1 and 2, be it the in-universe technology, everyone misses that when I say that, being completely different to the rest of this Trek universe, looking in-universe more advanced than Enterprise, which takes place not long before it, and then looking more advanced than Voyager, DS9, Next Generation, and even the Kelvin universe, which is really strange. This show is uneven, and the fact that Michael is written to be a Mary Sue, everyone needs her validation, and it's ridiculous. Then Alex Kurtzman is a completely talentless hack, by the way, and I stand by that statement. You start going through this series, and I've finally forced myself to watch it all. And it just felt so disconnected and disjointed. The characters weren't particularly well written, and usually by at least season 2, 3 in Star Trek, it's kind of found its voice. Like, the first season of every Star Trek series is usually pretty weak. But this hasn't found its voice. It had a soft reboot because obviously they wanted to get away from canon, so they could do what they wanted. You have a show that's so clumsy with its identity politics, and a fan base that is so desperately saying that Star Trek Discovery is the first Star Trek series to do race and gender and sexuality and all of this stuff. I hate to be the one to tell you this. The difference between Star Trek Discovery and Trek before it is all of this stuff was handled in a far more intelligent way. Gender, race, identity. Star Trek has been reasonably controversial in the past because of it. This is just trying too hard, and it's so obvious. None of the other characters in Season 4 have any personality beside, oh my god, Michael! We love Michael! We need your... No. And the good characters get pushed aside for Michael. Saru, for example, is a fantastic character that does absolutely nothing and is horribly mistreated. Season 4 is prime example of that. You just end up with this very fanficky, very poorly written show that just feels so disconnected from anything that's been done through Star Trek, through characterization. It feels out of place. It doesn't feel connected to the universe. And given that I'm now genuinely worried about Star Trek Strange New World because of this, I will say I have more hope for that show because of who's involved. And that's looking more like they're going down a more of a classic Trek vibe. My big concern, I get it. I mean, there's always going to be stuff that looks more advanced because of how technology has moved on since puppets on strings and early computer rendering CGI. But when in-universe technology doesn't match the actual timeline of events of Trek, it doesn't feel believable. And I get the feeling there was a minor retcon after season 1, because I got the feeling this was meant to take place longer before Captain Kirk and Pike and all of that. This show is just not good, and it's got worse. And the fact that the Star Trek franchise is basically obsessed with prequels, it's obsessed with them to the point of ridiculousness now. There is a lot they could do. An Earth-centric prequel to Star Trek about World War III and First Contact and Zephyr and Cochrane would be an amazing show, but they can't make that show because white men. This show is an absolute disaster, and for every good idea that it's had about 50 bad ideas. It's poorly acted, poorly written, Kurtzman is a hack at best, and just doesn't feel any connection to Star Trek. It doesn't even feel like Trek. It feels like Star Wars. And that's also its problem. You can tell the people that wrote it have very little connection to the Star Trek universe. And I feel like... And I will say, I can criticise Picard, but at least that feels like Trek, and it feels like at least a believable sequel. And that's a whole different video. I don't know what they're doing with this. You retcon a show, you start it from the mid-season, we don't know any of the side characters, they're just happy to be there because of Michael. Star Trek Discovery is just a pointless show that purely exists to push an extremely one-sided political narrative by treating the audience like a bunch of idiots.